Hello, family. BL Carter
Conference
here,
locked.
affectionately known as Miss B, hoping that you are doing well and working on your puzzle one piece at a time. Today, I wanted to talk to you about sticks and stones. We all remember when we were little, and there was a little saying that we used to run around singing. Our parents taught us when someone called us a name, we said, "Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me." Well, I'm here today to challenge you all with that, because I'd venture to change that and say, "Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will usually hurt me." And that is something that I'm finding more and more to be true. We cannot just escape the words that people say to us. They will do damage, especially if we don't counter them. Now, for those of you with a Christian background, in Proverbs, the Bible tells us that life and death is in the power of the tongue. It doesn't say the power of life and death is in the tongue. It says life and death is in the power of the tongue. So that means the tongue has the power. The tongue has authority. The tongue has ability to speak blessings or curses to effect some sort of change in your life. And Sister Annette has also been telling us about speaking blessings and curses and countering those curses and stuff. So just kind of want to highlight a few things just to remind you guys of how those sticks and stones will break your bones and words will usually hurt you. Think about a child who's been told that they wouldn't amount to anything. Some of you listening to this call were probably told as a child you wouldn't amount to anything. What did it do? Probably broke your self-esteem in some way, and the more you heard it, the lower your self-esteem fell. Words like that teach children to be ashamed of themselves, to be embarrassed, to not love themselves, to seek love, appreciation in others as opposed to in themselves. It breaks their desire to push forward. I mean, would a kid want to move forward in anything if they're already told they're not going to amount to anything? Why would you? A kid would probably see that as that's a waste of time because, Mom already said I'm not going to amount to anything, so why even try? And then, of course, what comes along the way? Bad choices. They don't value themselves. They undervalue themselves significantly. So you may make bad choices. Take a young girl who doesn't value herself. She wasn't taught to value and appreciate herself. Her self-esteem is low. And what happens? She falls prey to anyone who says, any guy who tells her he loves her. Why? Because she's seeking to be valued. She's seeking to have her esteem built up. She's seeking to be loved. She's seeking someone who validates her. What happens when you go through life or some period of your life and you realize that those words were not true? What happens when you realize that you could amount to something, or you would amount to something if you did some things differently? Think of how much time you would have lost from the time you first heard those words and they sunk into your spirit until the time that you've realized otherwise. And truth be told, those words will ring forever to some degree in the heads of those children who heard them. But the more we counter those words with an opposite word, the less impact those words will have. And they'll ring in the ear of those children, but they won't allow those children to quit. They won't allow those children to make bad choices. Actually, they would make better choices in spite of the words that they heard. But that's because they got a counteracting word. Another example. What about the words spick, wetback, gringo, cracker, Polak, Jew, and of course the N-word? Each one of those words invokes some sort of emotional turmoil for the group that it applies to. Whatever category you fit in, those who are listening, when you heard the word that applies to your particular race, didn't it invoke something in you? Those words do hurt. Words have power. What about names and name calling? This is one of my pet peeves when a parent calls a child a wrong name or a bad name or derogatory name. Over a period of time, that child eventually becomes that. They begin to act it out because the power of that word is being called. And if it's a nickname that's derogatory, over a period of time, the energy that's put forth is calling that particular behavior or that particular derogatory characteristic. It's calling that out into the children. So, for example, if your mom calls you a sorry ass all the time, eventually you become a sorry ass. You begin to act accordingly. If they call you, Fred Sanford used to use this one all the time on his son Lamont, you big dummy, is what he used to say. Well, you would expect after a period of time that Lamont is going to begin to act like a big dummy. And the sad part about it is when he starts to act like a big dummy and his dad passes away, he won't know how to handle things for himself because he acted so much like a big dummy and went to his dad for everything. He never learned to do certain things on his own. What about ugly? And there are some parents I know will do this, especially in the Black community. They'll say, you black, ugly, whatever. You black, ugly, Nigger. I've heard that. I've heard parents say that to their children. So now you hit them with 3 derogatory words in one. Imagine the impact. Imagine the hurt to that child's mind, to his psyche, to his soul and spirit of calling him an ugly black so-and-so. You told him he was ugly. He's not pretty. He's a boy. He's probably not pretty. He's handsome. But you told him he's not handsome. He's not physically attractive. You've told him that he's black. And you said it in a negative way. It wasn't said in such a way that he's black and black is beautiful. It was said in a derogatory way, something for him to be ashamed of, to not be proud of. What about you just like your mama, or you just like your damn daddy? I've heard women say that to their children. And what happens? The children learn that there's something negative about their dad or their mama, and that has passed on to them. So there's something negative about them that they had no control over. So this child has learned just by being born, looking like the daddy or acting like the daddy, they are inherently negative, they're inherently bad, they're inherently less than, they're inherently derogatory in all kinds of ways just because they have some similar qualities or characteristics as their dad, something they had no control over. Realizing they have no control over that, they go through life realizing, well, I'm screwed. I have no control over it. I can't change it. Some endeavor to do what? Plastic surgery to change their body parts if it's a physical thing. Some endeavor to become a different person other than their mama or their daddy. And sometimes that different person is a good thing. If daddy was a drug addict, then, if it pushes the child to do something other than drugs or to never touch drugs, that's great. But what happens if the child says, okay, well, since I'm just like my damn daddy, then I'll be a drug user just like my damn daddy. And the child falls right on in with using drugs and spend how many years of their life, maybe even the entire lifetime, using drugs. We have to be careful the words we speak over our children. We have to be careful the words we speak over each other. Because it's not just our children. We say these things to each other. How many times have we heard someone kind of get a little moody or may snap or go off or flip out or whatever term you want to call it 1 minute, and then the next day they're fine and everything's hunky-dory. And so what do? We say, oh, they must be bipolar. They ain't take their medicine today. Do we know that they're bipolar? Or have we taken the time to talk to them and find out where that mood swing came from? Have we taken the time to investigate? Maybe there's some medical issue going on. It could very well just be that there is a medical issue and that particular person didn't have the $20 for the copay for their medicine. And instead of finding out and being the hero in the situation and just giving them $20 for their medicine, you're going to give them a label. And then you're probably going to share that label with someone else. And so someone else labels them. And it's all negative. It's all derogatory. I've never heard anyone say, look at him. He's just flipping out back and forth. I believe he's bipolar and didn't take his medicine. Ha, ha, ha. No. It's never said in a joking manner, laughing, etc. It's said in a derogatory way, a way to put the person down, to label them, categorize them, stick them in a corner, and leave them there. It's also said in a way such that to put the fault on them or put blame on them, and to hold yourself blameless, if you will, in not trying to do more to help them or to reach them, or to meet them where they are. We have to do better with how we talk about each other, with the words that we speak to each other. Think about it. If we spend our time, our communication with each other, denigrating each other, speaking hurtful words to each other, we are doing half of the enemy's battle. We are blowing, I wouldn't say blowing, we are destroying the spirit and the minds of our own people. This is in our homes, in our families, in our marriages, in our close relationships. We're doing it ourselves. So whomever it is that we're doing it to, when they go out into the world doesn't have much to do because half of the battle is already won. When we call our son a black, ugly so-and-so, when he gets to school, he's already halfway there. So all they need to do is just talk about his acne or talk about he's too tall or too skinny or, if he's overweight, whatever it is they want to talk about. Boom, they've got him. His anger is rolling and he's ready to fight. And so now we just set him up to be a juvenile delinquent and don't even know it. Because that might happen to be the time that he explodes. He's not going to explode on mama because, he's trying to respect his mama. But he'll get out there in that school and someone will say something, he'll explode on them. And now he's in juvenile hall and he's building a record. And what we did was we set him up to take the fall when he gets out there in the street with people with the powers that be. And we do this over and over and over again. We dog our people out. We hurt them. We take advantage of them. We abuse them verbally, physically, socially, emotionally, financially. Every way that a person can be abused, we do that to each other. Black people do it to each other. Starting from children, all the way up into adulthood. We abuse and mistreat each other so much that when that child or that adult walks out the door, there's not much that the world has to do to them because we've already taken care of most of it. So if a child, I won't say a child, a teenager, has been dealing with this for some time in the home, they walk out the house. It doesn't take but 2 or 3 interactions from someone on a job. Let's say they're working on a job with Caucasian people. And take with 2 or 3 interactions from a Caucasian person for them to lose it. And then the world is ready to call them crazy. The world is ready to say they have a temper. The world is ready to give them all kinds of labels, put them in jail, ruin their lives with a criminal background, a violent crime, anger. Why? Because as a parent, we did not speak the right words to that child. We spoke death over that child. We didn't speak life into them. I don't usually tell you all what to do, and I don't usually give a whole lot of homework assignments. The last assignment I gave was for the listeners to seek out the broken, the unresolved, the unhealed relationships that they had and just try to mend them. Apologize where they need to apologize and move forward, whether it's in relationship with the person or not. You don't have to be best friends with your brother again. But if you had a falling out and you haven't spoken, just pick up the phone and say hi. Do it periodically. Eventually he'll pick up the phone and say hi to you. And maybe you guys can reconnect in some way. If not, that's fine too. But say your highs, say your apologies, say whatever it is you need to say. Allow them to say whatever it is they need to say. Hopefully you're doing it in love. And so that you guys can resolve that level of animosity that may still be hanging between the two of you. I gave an instruction for dads or moms, absent dad or absent mom. Go find your kids. Find your kids. That's your seed. You made those babies. You laid up and had those babies. I don't care how much drugs you got in your system today. I don't care how long you've been in jail. I don't care what the other parent has said about you, negative or derogatory. That's your seed. You have a duty to maintain relationship with your seed. They don't have a duty to track you down and find you and try to be in relations with you. You have a duty to be in relationship with them. Find your kids. Open that door. Apologize to the other parent if you have to eat whatever crow you have to eat and start reconnecting. Again, you don't have to have a perfect relationship, but at least open the door. Because an open door, believe it or not, will allow the healing to begin. Same thing with, kids who are mad at your parents. You got mad at mama because she made you wash the dishes 3 days straight and y'all got into an argument. And if she's like my mama or anybody else's mama in our community, she'd have told you, if you don't like it, get out. Get your own place and get gone. And she said in a mama's way. And you want to be big and bad, so you pack your little knapsack full of stuff and you got gone. Now you out there in the street. Staying from one friend to the next, sleeping under who knows where, potentially getting in trouble. Take your behind home. Take your little self on home. Acknowledge to your mama or daddy, whoever it was, I was wrong. I need to respect you in your house, etc., etc. Make those amends. Apologize. Life is too short. Life is too short. Separated spouses. If you're separated from your spouse, or here's the thing, even if you're divorced and you didn't end well, pick up the phone. Just apologize. You don't have to get into the details of what all went down or didn't go down, or you did this and you didn't, because that's not what it's about. It's no longer about being right, being wrong, or blaming. You apologize for your role, because it takes two. Every relationship takes two people, whether it's mama, daddy, whether it's mother, child, whether it's two siblings, whomever it is. Every relationship, every falling out takes two people. Apologize for your role. And then move forward, whether it's in some sort of irregular or regular communication with the other person or not. But if you're still married, take yourself one home, or at least make the call, open the door, apologize, say whatever it is. Because if you're still separated, then there's some issues that you got to discuss. Discuss what you got to discuss, and then move forward. That was the last homework assignment. Today I'm going to give you all a new homework assignment. And I say to you, speak against every wrong word that has been said about you. For too many years, we've had wrong words said about us, and these words called into being actions that were negative, that had that could not have a good impact in our lives. I need you all to begin speaking regularly. I mean, daily, 2, 3 times a day if you want to, against every wrong word that's been said about you. If you need to pull out your notebook and write a list of all those things that you remember people have said along the way, whether it's your parents in high school, somebody didn't like you, one of your exes, your grandmama, the dog, whoever. If you need to write them all down and you speak, you counter against every wrong or negative word about you. Because truth be told, all those wrong and negative words are probably part of the driving force of why you are the way you are today, why you do the things that you do. For those who have anger issues, probably part of your anger. For those who have relationship issues, probably part of your relationship. Health issues, probably part of your health issues, because that's energy. We just said earlier, Proverbs teaches us that what? Life and death is in the power of the tongue. Power, that's energy. What do we call our electric company? We call it the power company. That's our energy company. Power is in the tongue. So that's energy that has been put, negative energy that has been put on you. And you got to speak against that. You've got to come against that. If it's negative energy, it's driving you in a negative way. And if you start speaking positive, it's going to start driving you in a more positive way. What about daily affirmations? If you got to write them on an index card and put them on your mirror, that's fine. If you have to write them down and then speak them into an MP3 file, MP4 file, and play it in your car as you're driving. Daily affirmations. You are beautiful. You can do this. You can learn. You are not stupid. Low IQ doesn't mean stupid. Having a particular health problem does not mean life is over. You can manage your finances better. You can accomplish whatever your goals. Just start speaking those affirmations. You are all that and a bag of chips. Tell yourself, yes, look in the mirror, I am all that and a bag of chips. Yes, I might have been molested at a certain age, but I'm still all that and a bag of chips. That doesn't define me. That's a portion of my life, but it doesn't define me. Doesn't mean life's over. Doesn't mean I'll never, have a mate and have a great relationship. I've got to do work, but I'm still all that in a bag of chips. Tell yourself that. Don't let that define you. Speak daily blessings over yourself, over your destiny, over your goals, over your dreams. Regularly. Daily, you want to curse or counter all the negative stuff. Sister Renetta's been talking to us about the curses, the blessings, and the covenants that have been made over us or about us, especially those that we were not privy to agreeing upon. Counter that, break that, come against that. I'm not in agreement with that. Tell the universe, tell whether you call them angels, ancestors, whatever word you want to use, you tell them no. I am not in agreement with that. I was not part of that covenant. Or, yes, I made a covenant. However, the covenant no longer serves me. Tell them I'm coming against the words that my auntie spoke over me as a teenager. I'm coming against all the negative stuff my ex-husband said about me in his anger, because he had mommy issues and he didn't know how to deal with them, so he projected them onto me. I come against all of that. I throw that off of me. I'm not wearing that. Or come against all those things that your ex-wife said about you. You're too short. Your manhood is you don't know what to do with it the right way. Whatever she said that hurt your little ego, come against that. That does not define me. we have to begin to do these things. And at the same time, we also have to remember to speak love to each other, love to ourselves, love to each other. Yeah, I look good. And that's something I think back my brother used to do. I used to call him conceited, and he'd laugh, laugh, laugh. But he would. He would be in the mirror and he's picking out his afro and he said, I look good. Don't go looking for me another man because you ain't going to find nobody else just like me. I look good. It was something he used to say and we'd laugh and I'd joke about it. But without going to a whole lot of details of his business, we come from very, very, very humble beginnings. If you knew the details, you'd be surprised. And when we look at where my brother is today, where he's been in his entire lifetime, I think back for him telling himself he looked good, he can do this. Yes, I can bust my butt, put those hours in. I have my goals and there's things I want to do. That played a role because I'll be honest with you, we didn't get that in our house growing up. We got the opposite. So that being the case, it makes the world of a difference, makes the world of difference. When it's all said and done, the more you do it, the more your vibration is being raised, the more positive you can be, the more you begin to look at things and see the beauty in it instead of the ugly in it. You can drive down the street and see an abandoned house, and when you look at that house, instead of seeing an abandoned house with overgrown weeds, you look at it and you imagine a business. You're looking at it and you imagine a store, or you imagine a refurbished house, freshly painted, nicely decorated, and you owning it, renting it out to someone. And your mind starts to work and figure out how you can get a loan to buy that house, fix it up, and turn it into a business. That's what happens when your vibration is up high enough. You begin to see things and see the good possibilities in things. So that's all I wanted to say. Didn't want to hold you long, but I just wanted to share that little bit. That sticks and stones may break your bones, but words will usually hurt you. So keep that in mind when you're speaking. Life and death is in the power of the tongue. And that's not just a physical life or a physical death. That's a spiritual life and death. It's metaphorical life and death. Everything. It takes energy to move everything. And so that life and that death is in the power of the tongue. Passing your classes is in the tongue. Speak it, continue to speak it, move the power in that direction, and you'll be successful. You'll begin to do the things that you need to do. The universe will help align your schedule. It will help align your sleep. It will help you get the right foods and all those other things so that you can be successful in those classes if you speak in life. But if you walk into the class and you begin saying, oh, this class is going to be hard, I'm not going to pass it, you've already, lost the battle there because you started out with doubt, if you will. You speak that life and you speak it with authority and with boldness, with conviction, without doubt, without reservation or hesitation. You own it. It's the word I usually tell my choir kids. I help with one of the youth choirs, and I tell them all the time, you own it. Say it like you own it. Say it like you mean it. Say it like you have authority over it. Call it into being. That is prophecy, is it not? To prophesy is to call forth something. So start calling forth the good. Start calling forth the positive. Be your own prophet. Be your own prophet. Call forth your own prophecy.